Alright, so here we go. A super quick overview on how to make some adjustments to some photos. So I've got these base photos here. These are just a color photo of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a black and white version. I'm going to plunk my head right on top here. And what I want to do is put my face on Arnold's body because clearly we have the exact same physique. Now, I already know how to shrink things down using the transform tool, but you'll notice that in the corner of this layer right here, I've got this little gray box. What that basically means is that this was imported as a smart layer. We're going to talk more about those later, but basically it means I can't actually edit it properly. So you right click and choose rasterize layer, and then all of a sudden I'm able to edit it like any other normal picture. So if for some reason a layer isn't working for you, you can always go back through and right click and rasterize your layer. So I'm going to erase pretty much everything except for my face, my actual face, not
just the outline of my face. So I'm going to go through and kind of completely erase all of this excess information here because I just don't need it. I'm going to go ahead and move it on over. You can always go ahead and lower the opacity of your brush if you want. That'll leave some of that skin texture on there while still also decreasing the overall intensity of the edge, because that's the whole idea. We're trying to get rid of that edge. So I move it over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and decrease the opacity on my layer in order to see both layers at the same time, Arnold's face and my own. Command T to transform, rotate, and just in general scale my image over top to match with the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. A little bit of skewing involved, but overall it should be pretty easy to do. Okay, hit enter, done up with that, turn my opacity back up. So it matches, it fits pretty well, but the skin color is just completely off. Arnold is toasty yellow and I'm painfully pale. So I go to image adjustments. These top four here all deal with the overall value of the image, the grayscale. The bottom two there are hue and saturation, color balance. Those deal with colors. So let's go ahead and pick something here and let's see what we can do. So first I'm going to look at the shadows. So I'm going to hang out here with brightness and contrast. I'm looking at the shadows in Arnold's neck and like his armpit area, and I realize that they're very intense, so I'm intensifying the shadows on my face. I can do the same with any of these options. So I can do levels. Levels kind of crunches the overall black or white that's on your picture. This doesn't really help me now, but it's really good if you're doing line art. Say you drew something, you want to make those lines extra intense. I can use curves. Again, curves is good with colors as well as black and white. It's nice that I can grab an individual color and intensify it or de-intensify it, so I can actually bend it and warp it, and that's not good for anything. So let's keep going. Exposure. If you have any background or experience using a camera, then you intimately understand how to use exposure. So I can turn up my gamma, overexpose, underexpose, but again, I'm always thinking about the values, the shadows, and the highlights. Arnold's body is really greasy and kind of shiny. I want my head or my forehead to be also kind of shiny and kind of match that highlight. His shadows are really deep. With hue and saturation, I can desaturate or oversaturate. So how much color is there, the intensity, how much lightness, and then hue literally changes the color. If I want to be a Smurf, that's great, but I'm not a Smurf. So this menu is not going to help us. Instead, I'm going to go ahead over to color balance. Now this is what I want. So I can choose between how cyan something is or how red it is, how magenta or how green, how yellow or how blue, and I can do the same to my midtones, my shadows, and my highlights. So if I wanted to just make my highlights a little more yellow, I can do that. This one's much more precise in the color balance menu than the hue and saturation menu. So slowly I'm just going to keep massaging it, keep nudging it along until eventually you kind of see exactly what's going on here. My face is slowly but surely blending into Arnold's body. Now, there's some other things we can do, and eventually we'll get into those layer modes as well, but for right now, this looks pretty solid overall for what we're working with. I can do the exact same thing again. I'm just going to go a little quicker this time, only this time we're going to go on the grayscale photo, right? So I'm going to go ahead, just like before, we're going to go ahead and flip this horizontally so that our noses and faces are kind of angling the same direction. There's one big problem with this, of course, and that is the fact that my face has the shadow on the left-hand side and Arnold's shadow is on the right-hand side, so this will never match perfectly. Whenever you're matching your photographs, you want to definitely think about the light source and the photo that you're trying to merge together. But let's have fun with it anyway. So I'm erasing all the outline here of my face. I'm going to go ahead and transform it. Command T, shrink it down, rotate it, skew it. I can decrease the opacity so I can see both layers at the same time. Again, just match it up. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and slowly desaturate the image here. I know how to do that. I can always go, let's rotate that a little bit. I can always go up to Image, Adjustments, and then I can desaturate it as well. So get rid of some of that, let his hair kind of show through. I'm just using the eraser tool right now. I dropped the opacity. Image, hue, and saturation. So I'm not adjusting the hue, I'm desaturating my picture. Now it's black and white. Again, I'm going to look at the intensity of the contrast. My photo is pretty washed out looking, so I'm going to raise up that gamma a little bit, increase my exposure, and I'm just trying to increase the overall contrast to match this photo, or my portrait, to Arnold's photo. And like I said, it's never going to be perfect. The lighting is coming in the wrong direction, but you get the overall idea, and pretty quickly you can get something that matches pretty perfectly. So those top 4 deal with value, the bottom 2 right there deal with color.